Once again, Hanako doesn't turn up for class. Try as I might to concentrate on other matters, this fact continues to distract me throughout the entire school day, and even as I walk through the school gardens to the dormitories. I don't think today being her birthday is a coincidence either. I don't know the link between the two events though, nor do I have any idea on how she's feeling. Were it physical pain, I could at least provide some limited comfort. With something like this though, I have no idea where to start. I run the people I know through my head, thinking about whether they could help. Shisa and Misha don't know much about Hanako, and what little they know, they can't tell me. Same for the nurse. In the end, there's only one person that knows Hanako well and will be willing to tell me anything. Entering my dormitory room, I notice something that takes me a little off guard. It's starting to feel familiar. With everything that's going on around me, I'm thankful this room has started to finally be somewhere I can relax a little. When I first entered Yamaku, it felt immediately foreign in every way, with the untouched neatness to the way it smelled. Focusing back on the task at hand, I throw my bag onto the bed as I open the top drawer of my desk. Before she left, Lily told me the number to call her on while in Scotland, and I wrote it down. In hindsight, I wonder if she knew something like this could happen. Now that she's out of reach, I realize just how much both Hanako and I have relied on her for guidance. I dig around the drawer after drawer looking for the damn piece of paper, eventually, thankfully, finding it nestled under a library book. I probably should have just entered it directly into my cell phone, come to think of it. Without much further ado, I enter the numbers and anxiously press the call button. Eventually, the phone picks up a feminine voice I don't recognize on the other end. It's probably Lily's mother. Sato? English? Suddenly I find myself unprepared. I realize I can't understand a word she says, either due to my limited vocabulary or her heavy accent. I should have anticipated this, since according to Lily, her mother is a native Scot. I still drawn in the hope that she must know some Japanese, considering it's her daughter's native language. Hisao Nakai speaking. An enthusiastic sound of realization can be heard as she recognizes the language. My feeling of relief is immense. Ah, you must be one of Lily's friends from school, correct? Even so, her accent means I have to concentrate to work out what she's saying. That's right. Pleased to meet you, Miss Sato. It's so nice of her to find someone so polite. Lily, dear, it's for you. Her mother seems nice, if a little overenthusiastic given the mundane situation. There's a small silence as Lily takes her time getting to the phone. In the distance, I can just make out her mother scolding her playfully for just getting up. Hello, Lily speaking. You sound awful. She makes a sound somewhere between a dying animal and a yawn. The one thing I did remember to check before calling was the time zone. It'd be pretty late in the morning over there, so she really has no excuse. Not feeling well? Just tired. What time is it there? Late afternoon. School just finished. Hanako's not well, is she? That was quick. My assumption that she must have known something like this could happen seems to be on the mark. How'd you know? Because today's her birthday. I hope she might have gotten a little better than after coming to you, but how is she right now? She missed school yesterday and today. I still had to check up on her today. To be honest, after seeing how she was when I talked to her yesterday, I'm pretty anxious. I really have no idea what to make of it. Has this happened in the past? Is it related to her scars? I mean, like, obviously. Come on, Hisao. Unfortunately so. Roughly the same thing happened last year when her birthday came up. As far as I can tell, it's because her parents died in the accident. That caused her scarring, and Hanako blames herself for their deaths. This is why you don't use bottle rockets for birthday candles, kids. What she says does seem to make sense. If she's blaming herself on her birthday, she may be ruining that she was ever born. Hanako had mentioned her stay in the orphanage to me. Maybe I should take some heart that she trusts me enough to tell me such a thing. Lily seeming so in the dark about it, though, almost to the extent that I am, is a surprise. So that's why she lives in the student dormitories as well? Has she told you any more about the accident? As close as we've come, she's very barely told me anything about what happened. What I know about it is largely conjecture. She sounds depressed, almost defeated. Considering the trauma Hanako must have gone through, I can't really fault Lily for not knowing. Nevertheless, she still seems to consider it a personal failing. Don't blame yourself, Lily, with everything she's gone through. There is a long silence from the other end of the line. I begin to wonder if the call cut out before the voice on the other end speaks once again. There's another person that's been a subject of worry for me as late. Oh? I run through the people she could be talking about in my head. Is it me? It's you, Hisao! There's another silence on the line, but this time it's caused by me. Making others worry about me is something I've very actively tried to avoid since coming to Yamaku. Indeed, even my interactions with Hanako have helped stave off my major health problems thanks to our related and relaxed and slow-paced lives. What's there to worry about over me? I didn't mean any offense. Sorry, I was just taken a bit off guard. Still, isn't Hanako a bigger problem at the moment? For some time now, I've thought that the both of you may be feeding into each other's more worrying habits. I tried to amend this before leaving, but it seems to have done a little. Worrying habits. When I asked you about what you had in mind for the future, your answer was very similar to what Hanako has said in the past, when that question was posed to her. It is well and good to want to protect her, but I fear that treating Hanako like this, as if she were a daughter or someone in need of special care, is only going to achieve the opposite. The situation got effectively turned on its head. After everything that's happened, this is the first time I find myself doubting Lily's judgment. Ah, shit. Let's I guess agree with Lily is push Hanako. I trust you, Lily. You're a smart girl. I don't want to admit it, but she may have a point. Something else bugs me though. And you tried to amend this? Wait, our outing into the city? Quite astute. I thought that it might help if I dragged both of you out of Yamaku and into the wider world. I'm thankful you became closer for it, though. So she noticed that. I suppose she may well have been paying attention to us, and her hearing's incredibly good. Quite likely good enough to have picked up that we were talking about if she tried. Sounds more and more like you were manipulating us. Silence. It's a harsh way of putting it, but I have no intention of stepping back from those words. Sorry, I was just worried about you. It's fine, I guess there are more important things anyways. It's not a total surprise that she'd do such a thing. Her motherly nature can be slightly overbearing at times, but she does have the best of intentions. So, you think I should think of myself for trying to cater to Hanako? That largely sums it up. Again, I'm sorry for not telling you this in a clearer way before going behind your back. I know I'm at least as guilty of being overprotective of Hanako as you, but I fear that you are neglecting yourself in your efforts to give Hanako happiness. Do you really think Hanako will be okay? She isn't as fragile as you think. I don't know exactly what experiences she's lived through or what feelings she has on her mind, but she has managed to work her way through them until now. It's also my hope that giving her a little space will allow her to decide what she truly wants for herself and give her the initiative to reach out for it. Please have faith in Hanako. That's all I ask. I guess I'll think about it for a while. That's good. Being rash won't get you anywhere. I know that at times you may doubt your relationship to Hanako, but she does. Lily cuts herself off. Takes a moment to reconsider her words. Please keep in mind that I wouldn't have befriended you if I hadn't thought you a fundamentally good person. You're a good friend, both to myself and to Hanako. Thanks. That helps. We shared some small talk to try and lighten the atmosphere, but it feels very stilted. There's a lot I don't know about Lily's stay in Scotland, but after such a heavy subject, I want to be alone for a bit to think. After a few minutes, we end up saying our goodbyes and I set my phone back on my desk. Compared to Hanako's situation, mine feels utterly mundane. I still have both of my parents, I had a reasonably good childhood, and like many in Yamaku, my condition isn't immediately visible to the public. But then again, isn't this just an attempt to justify the way I've been acting towards her? That may well be what our past were like, but when it comes to the future, I'd still have no idea what I want to do. In school, I've just concentrated on everyday's work, and I put off more and more things to cater to Hanako. I recall the words Muto told me after Hanako's breakdown about the purpose of Yamaku and my education. In hindsight, he was probably trying to push exactly the same thing. Just what have I been doing in the time since my heart attack? If I ever managed to get Hanako out of her room and open up, what then? I look out of my dormitory window as the sun slowly sets. It's a nice sight, but what I really savor is the quiet as the student returns to their dormitory rooms. All I want to do now is think. I'm not sure how much time I have, but I want to work out where I'll go from here. Uh-oh. Not sure. Not sure I like where this is going. 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 Not sure I like w After talking to Lily yesterday, I want to try and move on from the listlessness I felt ever since coming to Yamaku. But even if I try to concentrate on the book in front of me, Hanako's empty seat at the back of the classroom looms larger than my life. Every time I start getting focused, my eyes flick over to her desk again and my mind starts spinning. Once more, my eyes drift over to it, but this time my vision is blocked by a certain other classmate. Oh, hey, Mickey. Maybe you should just have lunch. I can hear your stomach growling from my desk. I let my head drop in disappointment. She seems to have taken my amusement from my reaction. Her grin as she sits on it reminds me of the Cheshire Cat. What you working on? Some math. I have a decent handle on it, but I wanted to revise. Oh, really? Let me see that. Before I can object, she grabs my mathematics book with her hand. Which hand? She scans the page I was on, holding it open with the one hand she has, her left arm sitting uselessly on her lap. In my time here at Yamaku, I've noticed that the other students have a wide range of adjustments to their disabilities. On a purely practical level, Miki is one of those who seem to have some trouble. The stump in her left hand tends to either hang by her side, slipped into a pocket, or otherwise put out of the way. Sometimes she has a difficult time doing common tasks, which makes her quite visibly frustrated. I feel a little bad for thinking this way, but I'm thankful that Hanako and I don't have disabilities affecting our freedom of movement to that extent. Then again, if Miki's problem worsened, at least she wouldn't have any real possibility of dying. My attention is refocused as she thumbs through a few pages. Skipping... Can you really say thumbs, or should we just say thumb? Skimming through their contents. With such casual interest in the subject matter, it's clear by now that she won't be any help. I'm guessing you're not too interested in this stuff. Screw math! She puts the book back in front of me with indifference. Her eyes move to the notebook beside it I've been working on out of practice equations on. Wait, you're actually able to work this stuff out? Yeah. Wow, I've never talked to a computer with legs before. Have you talked to Emmy? Then you can talk to a computer without legs. Thanks, at least I'm doing better at this in history. I think it's worth asking that librarian for help. I hear she's shooting for uni. Ah, Yuko? Maybe. I don't know what she wants to study, though. So what about you? Got anything you're thinking of doing after you graduate? Me? Nah, not really. Just enjoying it while it lasts. She looks a little awkward when asked about her future, and absentmindedly rubs her left forearm. I kind of want to ask her about it, but I don't think I know her well enough to do so. The conversation peters out, and I lean back in my chair, giving up on the prospect of studying. Miki notices my tired expression looks oddly serious. Thinking about Hanako? Is it that obvious? You've been glancing at her seat, and you've been pretty quiet. Not too hard to connect dots. Just worried about her. Yeah, I can see why you would be. She can get weird sometimes. She sounds put off, but I can't blame her. Hanako is a hard person to interact with before she warmed up to me, even with Lily around to help. I hadn't known her for that long either, so some of her habits would still be unknown to me. My face becomes troubled. If I hadn't developed feelings for her, this would be at least a little easier to deal with. I mean, no offense, she isn't a bad person, I know that much. I know, I don't take it that way. It's just harder to deal with, well, you know, when you have feelings for someone. I can imagine that. It's hard to forget something like what happened to her during class, too. I wish she hadn't reminded me of that. She's just confirmed that it's clearly noticed by the others in the room as well. Come on, don't get that down. She's done this before, you just gotta wait it out. She locks herself in a room and acts like an empty husk of a person for a sizable amount of time. Ever since she entered Yamaku, if not before then as well, I'm not supposed to be concerned about that? That's a very long sentence. Well, I might think that, but there's nothing I can do. I can't force her to come out, and she does see a therapist, so it's not like she isn't getting any help for her issues. Maybe it's natural to think that way when you're so powerless to help someone. That's just the way she is, and you just have to deal with it. As I mull things over, I notice a movement out of the corner of my eye. I glance to see who it is and end up doing a double take. Sure enough, it's Hanako. She walks through the door, and just as she would any normal other day, begins to move towards her seat in her usual silent and humble manner. She looks at me for a moment before blushing and looking away in embarrassment, which makes me realize I was staring at her. I feel sorry for that, but not doing it is hard after all that's happened. The girl sitting on my desk looks at me grinning. See? Your sweetheart's back already. What did I tell you? You be quiet. It might only be meant as a joke, but she hits close enough to make me quite uncomfortable. As we talk, someone calls out Mickey's name from the door. She jumps down from her vantage point from my desk before turning to me. Gotta go. Remember to eat sometimes. Fine. See ya. She gives a casual salute before jogging over to the door, where a male student in a gym uniform is waiting for her. Probably someone from the track and field team. He looks gay. Maybe it's the captain. Seizing the opportunity, I get up and make my way to Hanako's desk. Hey, what's up? Nothing. Maybe talking to her this soon after she came back to class was a bad move. Want to go grab something to eat? I'm pretty hungry. I thought you were studying. Studying can wait. Turning up for class after all this time must have taken some courage for Hanako. So at least I can do is stay with her. That's just the way she is, and you just have to deal with it. Is the way Miki and probably the whole class as a whole views Hanako. I can do more for her, though. I want to do more for her. After being distracted by Miki, I don't think I'm gonna get any work done. Come on, let's go. She hesitates, but eventually gets up and joins me as we begin walking. These may be small steps for her, but the fact that she's finally out of her room on her own volition lifts a large weight off my shoulders. Dun, 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 da, 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 da. I think this is good news. My pen busily scrawls into a slowly lifting page of my notebook. The other hand remains on a page of a reference book I borrowed from the library, marking my spot as my eyes flicker to and fro. As I work, I occasionally mark red circles or underlines onto the photocopied sheets of paper that lay on the table in front of me. Wanting a change of scenery from the library and to avoid the distractions of the classroom, I decided to make use of Shanghai for some quiet study time. It ended up being nice and quiet as expected. Being able to get some coffee while I study is a nice bonus. Hanako may have returned to her normal self since she came out of her room, but I've done quite the opposite. Daily routine may have returned to us, but I feel as if I'm a different person. Maybe I'm not. It's only been a few days after all since I decided I want to try and get out of the rut I found myself in after my accident. But I want to change, and I'm now actively working towards that goal. Or at least I would like to think I am. This is impossible. Brute forcing this is not going to work. What's more, I have another piece of writing I have to do after this. I fear that's not going to be any easier. I look up in surprise at the source of the tentative voice. Hisao, you have a bill of like $500 and you've not paid any of it. Yuko stands at the head of the table with a damp towel in hand, clearly having taken the opportunity to clean the tables while no other patrons are around. She looks curious, her eyes as much on my work as on me. What's the matter? I was just wondering, what sort of work are you having so much trouble with? It's just history. I'm fine with science and maths, so I'm trying to get my other subjects up to par. Those dang non-STEM classes, right? Yuka looks positively delighted at this development. I feel like I just chose the right answer to some big quiz show. Oh, I can help. Don't mind, of course. I briefly considered turning down the offer in order to not cause her too much trouble, but she looks so excited about this for me to do it. It would be mean to shoot her down like that after such a reaction. Sup, Dr. Josh? If you're willing to help, I'd really appreciate it. She claps her hands together and quickly deposits her towel on the counter before returning and taking a seat across from me. I take my notebook off the top of the textbook and hand it over to her to peruse. So, you're studying the Edo period. Yeah, not really much good at this though. She takes the textbooks and reads a few pages from a random section near the middle for a bit, but the aura of enthusiasm she'd been reading previously is rapidly sapping away. I'm guessing this isn't the kind of history you were expecting? Unfortunately not. My main area is European history, especially in the classical area. She looks a bit downcast, but as she carefully closes the book and lays it back down on the table, her face perks up again. I was reading that. Why'd you close the book? Would you like another cup of coffee? Sure. I reach forward and get my books back as Yuko gets up, takes my mug and slowly walks to the counter to make another brew. Yuko, the queen of the upsale. As usual, she's absolutely silent as she does this. Every ounce of her concentration is focused on not tripping over or dropping the plain white mug. I take the opportunity to lay back and react for a bit, the hum of the coffee machine filling the otherwise quiet air. It's small details like that which make me realize how much I've come to appreciate the small things in life. The peace and quiet of the local town, the discipline and order of Yamaku, the green of the trees that were so rare in my home city, the relaxed pace at which the aging residents lived their lives. Everything feels so certain. It's comforting. I can feel myself beginning to nod off when the sound of the mug coming to rest on the table grasps my attention. Seems like it's arrived not a moment too soon. Yuko takes her previous seat once again as I pick myself up and begin bringing a hand around the mug to check its temperature. It's a little too hot to drink right away, so I blow on it a little. It's a shame you don't like history all that much. I sort of guessed you might be more into science. How so? You've nearly read out the science fiction section of the library already. It wasn't hard to notice. You do have a good point there. What can I say? You've pegged me just about right. You sound like you really take an interest in history, though, especially considering how specific you were about it. Do you study that area or something? Go on digs overseas? She giggles nervously at the thought. I'd like to visit the Mediterranean sometime and see the old architecture and art for myself, but I don't think I could trust myself to handle such delicate things. I'm saving up to formally study it at university, though. I also read up on whatever I have some free time outside of work. So Mickey was right about her university aspirations. Considering how she fares as a waitress, a more theoretical path may suit Yuko better. It's nice to hear that she has some ambitions, though, considering how hard she works. Welcome back, Triac. How you doing, dude? I nod and take a careful sip of my coffee. By now, it's cooled to the right temperature, so I begin to drink while keeping an eye on the books below, trying to read at the same time. A few minutes pass quietly, Yuko looking out the window and watching the world go by as I have my coffee and study. A movement catches my eye and look up to see Yuko smiling and waving to someone outside. Following her gaze, surprisingly reveals that someone to be Hanako. She's looking at us from the side of the street across from where we are. Her usually all too visible timidity is largely absent, probably thanks to there being so few people around right now. Evidently, she decides to join us after a little wave. She gives us a quick glance up and down the street and crosses towards the side the cafe is on. Good thing Truck-kun wasn't here. Damn you, Truck-kun. The familiar doorbell of the Shanghai rings out as Hanako... I'm just imagining Hanako running across the street, a truck hitting her, and begins Hanako Isekai. My scarred life in another world. The familiar doorbell to Shanghai rings out as Hanako enters and makes her way to the table we're sitting at. Hello. Good afternoon. Hey Hanako, what's up? Nothing, just going for a walk since the weather was nice. Yeah, I get what you mean. I'm glad I decided to study here instead of the library. It's comfortable in here thanks to that, better than sometimes quite stuffy library. I look to Yuko, who nods in response. I think it was a good thing to follow Lily's advice. It's nice. It's just a shame that summer can't last forever. Oh, wait. Would you like a drink? Hanako shakes her head. Thankfully, it's enough to calm Yuko back down. How are you going with studying? Okay-ish. Oh, yeah, have you talked with Lily? I'm interested too. How's she doing? She's enjoying it, I think. I think that's all we're going to get out of her. Being around Yuko is tensing her up. That'd be so nice to travel to Scotland. Green fields, castles, lovely small towns, men in kilts. I know which one I want. I can't say I see the appeal of men in kilts myself. What's wrong with you? You don't like men in kilts? Come on. As we talk, the jingle of the doorbell rings again. Hanako is startled, noticing Yuko's panic reaction at the prospect of she might having to leave customers to wait a handful of seconds due to her chatter with us. Yuko gives us a quick bow, then hastily skitters over and greets new customers, an elderly man and his wife. I watch her for a bit, craning my head around to get a good view. Hanako is staring at me with her one visible eye. She's a cyclops. She averts her head in embarrassment as I turn to make eye contact. I was just thinking it was nice to have ambitions for the future. Yuko was telling me a little about her university aspirations from before. Oh. It's a shame. If she weren't so neurotic and overworked, I think she would be a really happy person. As much as I'd like to play host to Hanako or entertain her a bit, I do need to study as well. To be honest, I don't think distraction from Yuko helped either. Sorry if I'm a bit distracted. I need to try to get this done, otherwise I'm gonna flunk the history exams. I'm left running my hand through my hair in frustration. That letter needs doing as well once I get back to my door. That letter? I hope I have more luck with this and that. Is it the letter from our ex-waifu? Oh man, we're gonna write back to Iwanako. All I've done is rattle myself. I can't focus on the work in front of me when my stomach is slowly turning at the prospect of actually attempting to write her back. I force myself to concentrate on the book, picking up my pen once I have a quick sip of coffee. After a few seconds, Hanako stops silently watching me and leans back in her seat, relaxing as much as she ever seems to be able to, looking out the window to pass the time. We stay like this for a long time before leaving for the dormitories together. I'm surprised she had the patience to wait me out. Iwanako's letter lies on my desk beside a blank sheet of lined paper and an unused envelope. The tapping of my pen is the only thing to be heard this late at night. As I feared, my second task of the day turns out to be the most difficult. It's been so many months since we ever saw each other. Even so, I can still remember what she looked like, what she sounds like, and what she acted like. By now, though, the little details are beginning to slip away. When I first saw her letter, I barely recognized her handwriting at all. Even the pink pen she always used was forgotten until her writing reminded me of it. I wonder why she didn't use it for the letter. She used to write everything with it. Maybe she thinks it's too immature now. I should be thinking of myself and what I want to communicate to her. My mind can't stop concentrating on her, though. On the past we shared before it was taken away so suddenly. The bright and slightly garish decorations suit her sense of aesthetics. Picking up the letter to take a closer look at it, I give a long sigh. This is the last link binding me to my past. Iwanako didn't suddenly cease to exist when she left my hospital room for the last time, and I needed this letter to remind me of that. I had all these feelings neatly filed away. I felt as if I didn't need them, that I could just begin life anew. It was easier that way. In the end, I suppose, that was a rather naive thing to think. Sooner or later, my past would have caught up with me one way or another. What's up, Titan Chronos? It's good. This is actually my favorite visual novel we played so far. What am I supposed to say? Thank you for bringing me closure. All the letter did was end the sense of closure I previously felt. Try as I might, I can't write so much as a single word down on paper in front of me. I can't even think of exactly what to say. Putting the letter down on top of the blanket sheet, I gathered the materials together and filed them away in my drawer. The clunk the desk makes as it closes makes me momentarily tense in frustration before I get up to go grab a drink from the vending machine on the first floor. I tried, but I couldn't do it. After all that time has passed, I still don't know how to deal with Iwanako. The library, while not humming with activity, is noticeably more busy than usual. Exams are not far away, and that's reflected on a number of students burying their noses in textbooks at the tables around us. I've been studying quite a lot in the past few days, just like them, in hopes of doing well in the exams. This also means that Hanako and I have been playing chess games less, so she's been studying as well just to fill in the time. Nevertheless, I found myself forsaken by her in this particular day. The textbook in front of me has remained on the same page for some time. After so much reading on subjects I couldn't care less about, if not for the exams, my mind is beginning to wander. And I'm out of water. Damn. I find my eyes flicking over to where Hanako would usually be. Just like on the days she wasn't in class, her usual beanbag in the corner of the room is conspicuously unoccupied. It was here that we first really met. I tried to start a conversation with her. She got skittish and eventually bolted from the room altogether. I probably shouldn't smile about that. Well, it was kind of amusing in hindsight. Nowadays, it's more and more difficult to imagine her doing such a thing. Even with Lily gone, she's been doing well now that she's come out of her room. I want to talk with her, or at least play another game of chess. I'm tired of studying. It's been a few days since we've really done anything together. The question of where to find Hanako isn't a particularly difficult one. If she's not in the library, chances are she's either in the tea room or just for some peace and quiet, or in her dormitory room. Deciding to check them in that order, I pack my books and make my way out of the library. I stretch and give a loud groan as I walk down the hallway. Studying may be frustrating at times, but with the progress I feel I've made, there's also some sense of pride in getting it done. It's a good feeling. You want to see more? Yeah! There isn't a sound to be heard from inside. I stand in front of the door to Hanako's room. I guess that isn't very indicative of whether she's inside or not, given how quiet she usually is. Still, she wasn't in the tea room. I try knocking lightly to make my presence known, but I'm surprised when I find the door unlocked and yielding at my touch. With a small creak, the door opens. It looks like my suspicions are correct. Hanako is indeed here. We just barge in. She's sitting at the table with an open book in front of her, but pays no heed as she keeps looking out the window. She looks utterly oblivious to my presence. With her head thoughtfully resting on her hand, she looks calm and collected. It's a shame she can't look like this more often. Smiling a little, I'll walk up to the table and softly speak to her. Evening. Hanako's head turns low to see me, but she's only half there. I put my hand on the table and lower my head to better look at her face. I'm mildly curious about what mood she's in. What's up? She gasps a little, finally acknowledging my presence in her room for the first time. Hanako's blushing really heavily. Her mouth is open just a little, as if paused mid-sentence. Most striking, though, is what she's doing. She's looking directly at me. Her eyes are pinned to my own. From such a close distance, I can almost see my reflection in them. They don't turn away nor move at all. They're absolutely still, just looking into mine. They're dark and give her an almost analytical air. Even when reading on subjects she has no interest in, she would appear to be wrapped in her work as a casual observer. She absorbs information very well. Even now I can feel that. I feel like I'm seeing something behind those eyes I've never saw before. I don't know what it is, though. Hanako? Her lips move just a little, slightly mouthing something. She looks like she's on the verge of saying something but won't say it. But that's the way Hanako always is, on the verge of saying something but never quite doing it. As I look inadvertently into her eyes, I realize something. Everyone has their own thoughts, things they want to say, their own worldview. But I can't work out what Hanako wants to say, and I can't work out what she's thinking. I've never been able to. It's frustrating. It feels like I don't know her at all, despite all the time we spent together. Hisao? It's only now I find myself blushing. I've been looking directly into Hanako's eyes for such a short distance with absolutely no regard to her, and she's been looking into mine without shrinking away. I quickly look away while covering my face with my hand. Hanako does the same. Another awkward silence reigns. I hate these. At first, I accepted them as just being a fact of life around Hanako, but now they all feel like an affirmation how little we've been able to communicate. Some anger makes its way in the complex mixture of emotions I'm experiencing right now. I want to bridge the gap between us. Friends shouldn't have to tiptoe around each other like this. I speak before I can argue myself out of what I'm about to do. My scarring isn't as bad as Hanako's, and I can't possibly compare my life to hers, but I want to show her that she's not alone, so I rip off my clothes! Hanako, I want to show you something. I'll show you yours if you... I'll show you mine if you show me yours. I take a deep breath to prepare myself. This could really backfire badly, but I feel as if we've come close enough for this to be okay. We're just exposing ourselves to girls now. I'm not gonna strip naked, I'm just gonna take off my shirt. Hanako's eyes grow to the size of saucers. Her face is an amusing mixture of curiosity and nervousness as she stands. It helps take the edge off my own nervousness as doing this in front of another person. Slowly, with my entire body feeling tense, I unknot my tie and begin to loose the first of the buttons. I'm trying to mentally block out Hanako to make this easier, but it's not really working. As I work my way down, I expect to hear some form of protest from her. She remains silent, though, and starts getting out single-dollar bills and starts throwing them into the air. With the last of my shirts unbuttoned, I take a breath and look at her. She's also taken her clothes off. Hanako's gaze is fixated on my scarring. As expected, and once I nod to say it's okay, she steps forward and tentatively places her hand on a vertical line running down my chest. The scarring on her hand, a pattern of damaged skin across its surface, contrasts with a single uniform line that makes up mine. Her hand isn't trembling at all, unlike what I predicted. This is the scar from the surgery that followed my heart attack. The surgeons had to cut open my chest and operate on my heart. I mean, I'd be impressed if they operated on your heart without cutting open your chest. I never knew. Hanako's words were calmer and softer than usual. The soft feeling of her fingers moving from my scar to my breast makes me hesitate a little before continuing on. Now rub my nipples. Yeah, pinch them. Yeah. You're the first person to see me like this since I left the hospital. Not true. Kenji snuck up on us while we were walking out of the shower. Although I guess Kenji may not have seen us because he has really bad eyesight. Why are you showing me this? Because now it's your turn to take off your top. I wanted to prove to myself that I can do this, that I could accept my past and move on. I want to show that to you as well. She nods. From her reaction, she seems to know how difficult this is for me. More than anything, this scar represents a visible reminder of my condition. A reminder that I am not normal anymore. That's something that until now, I had tried my hardest to ignore. As the minutes tick by, Hanako's gaze lingers, her eyes less focused on my scarring than before. The situation feels a bit different than what it previously did and makes me slightly uncomfortable. Her hand retreats and I draw my shirt closed and begin to button it up. Her blushing face suddenly returns to its typical tense and timid state as she looks away. The room is completely silent as I fix my shirt and tie, feeling put off after such an unexpectedly intimate moment. So, I guess you're not the only one that's scarred. Hanako smiles a little at the joke, thankfully enlightening the atmosphere a little. Thank you, Sal. I think I understand. I give a long sigh of relief. I really don't know how she'd take it, but I'm glad everything seems to have worked out as I'd hoped. Hanako's smile only proves that further. I'm finding the path. Whoa. I'm not a fan of Kenji. Fuck Kenji. You just take him out of the story completely. I just want my girls. I'm finding a path I want to follow now, and what Hanako needs to do is find her own. It's something I can't help her with, and it's something that she needs to overcome her path in order to do. Hanako checks her watch. It's getting late by now. Hisao, yeah, I better get going. I'll be thankful for this complete sleep. It's been a long day after all. Good night, Hanako. Good night. I make my way out of her room and into the hallway, remaining silent as I do. I think both of us have gone through a few emotions today. The heat of the summertime sun beats down on my sweating brow. Dabbing with a handkerchief doesn't help too much in making me any more comfortable. Giving up on the idea of getting more done today, I stop and lean against one of the overpass fences, resting my bag on the ground. The stores in the town below Yamaku are well stocked and offer enough variety for me to get by, but at least an occasional shopping trip to this city is something that can't really be avoided. I've been here a few times now. The city's layout is getting more familiar, and the nostalgia from its atmosphere is beginning to wear off. I realize I've begun to wheeze. I sound like an old man that's overexerted himself, and having to connect that to the fact that the source is a bit disturbing. I put a hand on my chest and concentrate for a bit more to make sure I haven't gone far enough to cause any further problems. That's right, man. Lower that respect. It's worth it, though. Thankfully, my heart is acting normally. There's no dull pain. The beating is regular, albeit fast-paced as I recover from overdoing things in this kind of heat. I hate my body. It's frustrating to be held back, even more to be held back by fear of my life being ended when doing something as simple as walking around a city for a while. As I ponder my health, I feel my pocket vibrating. I forgot to turn off my vibrator. By the time my phone's begun to ring, my hand is already fishing for it. A glance at the screen shows a number I don't recognize. I press the button to answer the call and bring the phone to my ear. Hello, Hisao speaking. The sound of a couple of short breaths can be heard, but no actual speak is forthcoming. Is this Shizune? Shizune, when did you get a phone? You know you can't use phones, Shizune. Hello? Hisao? It's Hanako. Her voice is really easy to place, even though I've never heard it over a phone before. Hanako, sorry I wasn't expecting you to call. What's up? If you're not busy, I was wondering if you would meet up? Yeah. She sounds really wound up about this. I can hear muffled voices in the background. And it's about time for afternoon tea, so I guess she'll want to meet her at the Shanghai or something. Are you at the Shanghai? I'm in the city. Hanako's here? Alone? What a surprise. She's stalking us. It's a little wonder she's like this if she's surrounded by people and entirely by herself. I'm wandering around here now. Where are you? Hanako manages to stammer out the street name, address, and some basic directions to where she is. It's not too far. I agree. Hang up. Look up the sky. The summer heat is beating down. This is the first time Hanako's asked for us to do something together beyond a simple board game, and the first time, at least since I know her, that she's come to the city by herself. Maybe this means Lily was right. By the time I managed to stagger up to the cafe where Hanako is, I started to wheeze again. I am sweating so much that I feel like a melting popsicle. I can barely hold the bag in my hand. I need to sit down, badly. The tables outside are all occupied by busily chatting couples and girls gossiping. The contrast between the different age groups and fashions of the people here and the people from the town near Yamako is striking. I scan over the people sitting at the tables, but I can't see Hanako. She did say she was sitting outside, so it must be missing her. Not difficult, given how small she usually tries to make her presence. I look again more slowly this time, taking particular care to see if I can find Hanako's hat. It's pretty distinctive, and I'd be very surprised if she wasn't wearing it. There she is. Sure enough, her head is kept low and the table she's sitting at is right beside the building in an inconspicuous corner. I walk up to where she is and make sure that I have her attention before I sit, lest I give her a scare. She notices me, gives me a small wave as I arrive at her table. You feeling okay? I try my best to laugh it off, but doing so makes me more out of breath. Not very fit these days, don't remind me. Hanako nods, but looks a bit put off. Now that I can get a good look at her face, something about her seems a bit different. I'm not sure if my eyes are playing tricks on me, but she looks kind of nice. Her eyes move upwards to look at me, before slowly flicking back down. I begin to think this is going to be a rather quiet meeting, but a waitress thankfully arrives and sets down a cup of tea in front of Hanako. Hanako almost automatically turns slightly away and lowers the side of her head. It's an amazingly practiced motion, and does a good job of its intended purpose, hiding her scars from someone who's leaning in close. Her right arm is laying on the table though, with a scarring in the back of her hand quite visible. It catches the waitress's eye, and I move to quickly distract her. Excuse me, can I place an order? The waitress nods and gives me a couple seconds to look at the menu. Can I have a mango smoothie, please? She gives a nod, almost enthusiastically bouncing inside. Everything is so different in this city in more ways than one. Bouncing. Hanako looks back up towards me and adjusts her hat a little. If she noticed the waitress staring at her scars, she doesn't show it. Not coffee? I think I'd die from this heat if I had something like coffee right now. Resting my head in my hand, I look to my quiet companion. She seems taken aback. A very unexpected reaction to my lame joke. An unwelcome emotion bubbles up inside me as I realize her reason why. Unlike in Yamaku, indeed, unlike anyone here that I'm aware of, my condition goes beyond limiting the activities I can do. Or to be more precise, breaching those limits could have much more grave consequences. Thankfully, it's something that's very rarely come up since I entered Yamaku. I thought that it was so rare that Hanako really might not think of it at all. Turns out I was wrong. Hanako silently drinks her tea for a while I wait for my drink, confirming that it's the right temperature with a small sip before she begins in earnest. I feel guilty for being the cause of an uncomfortable silence since the past. I've been quite hard on Hanako for those. Eventually, the same waitress as before bounces up, handing me my drink. I gather change from my pocket and drop it into her waiting hand before she goes off to attend another customer. My eyes linger on her as she walks away. Do you think she looks pretty? Not as pretty as you, Hanako. Hanako is following my gaze, my eyes taking in a waitress that serves us. I can feel my blood slowly going to my cheeks as I rest my smoothie back on the table. Can't really say that I'm really into the look. She just looked a lot like an old friend I knew before my heart attack. You know me, Hanako. I like a girl that's extra crispy. Do you have many friends? I had a few at my previous school, though I wouldn't say a lot. The four of us just hung around together after school and stuff. Do you still talk to them? I shake my head. No, we gradually lost contact when I was stuck in the hospital. You're not saddened by that or angry? Hanako looks genuinely surprised. I guess it's the right reaction. Well, life did move on for them while stuck in the ward. I was pretty sore about it by the time. Now it's just a bunch of nice memories. I mean, Hanako's been concerned about us for a while now. Once I came to Yamaku, I found new friends as well. It's quite a whitewash of what my feelings were back then. Yep, whitewash. I went through some dark times during my stay at the hospital, and I really am glad that Hanako and Lily were around to help me after I left it. Hanako blushes as we both get down to enjoying our drinks. She seems to have calmed down since I arrived, and I've started to feel a bit better now. I've had a chance to take a rest a bit, so this is going to be a nice outing already. Even if she's calmer than before though, she's still fidgeting a bit. She runs her hands down one of her bangs as I try to think of something to say. I was going to ask. Hanako tilts her head quizzically. I didn't know you had a mobile phone. How'd you get my number? Lily gave it to me. I should have guessed. You know, you could have just asked. I would have given it to you. Want to exchange email addresses? Oh my, Hisao, so forward. Exchanging emails? My goodness, you player, you. Hanako nods, setting down her drink and fishing out her phone from her pocket as I do the same. Oh, do you play One Piece Treasure Cruise? I love One Piece Treasure Cruise. It's like my favorite game. The same model, pink though. Nice phone. She looks at me with a curious expression before noticing my phone and giggling. It's one of the very few times I've seen Hanako let her guard down enough to do such a thing. I didn't pick it out for myself though. Oh? It was a present from Lily. I never really needed a phone and couldn't afford one. She bought me one for Christmas though, saying that we could use it to keep in touch. They see each other basically every day anyways, both in and out of school. Then again, Lily does have her class representative duties and other friends that she talks with. It'd probably help for situations like this when she's gone away for a while. Lily is a very special person to you, isn't she? Are you in... Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, fucking friend zone. Oh man, I knew we'd never get with Hanako. Damn it. Are you in lesbians with her? I love her very much. Hanako looks down and smiles as she thinks of her. None of my friendships were as deep as hers, and I have to admit to myself I'm a little jealous of their relationship. We tell each other our email addresses and thumb them into our respective phones, and I get Hanako's number from earlier and puts it in my contact list. Hisao, what's your email? My email is brokenheart6969. What's yours, Hanako? Oh, you know. Damn, I couldn't think of a good one. That makes 3 now. 3 contacts. Lily, Akira, and you. Ah, Akira, she's an interesting person, isn't she? She is. She's also really nice. Her suit makes her look a bit cool. I'm a little surprised you know each other so well. What with her job taking up so much of her time. Hanako looks down a little and takes another sip of her drink. If I wasn't looking intently at her face, I'd miss a small smile perched on it. I guess when she knows so few people, those she knows must mean a lot to her. How many do you have? 9 or 10? Oh, bam! 3 times as many friends as you. Suck it! I hesitate to go into it for fear of rubbing in the fact that Hanako doesn't have parents. Two of those are Shizune and Misha too, which is another can of worms. I imagine that Lily will have both of us, more than both of us put together probably. Hanako gives a childish giggle and I can't help smiling. It's a good feeling that she's gotten this comfortable with me. At times like this, I feel like I'm getting close to talking to her true self. Do you mind if I ask you about something I've been wondering? Hanako shakes her head. She takes the last sip of her tea, finishing it off. You don't seem very jealous of Lily having a lot of friends. Do you want to make some friends, more friends yourself? Or to get to know some of hers? I'm not jealous. I don't like people, so I don't mind not having so many friends. It's really not the answer I was expecting. She doesn't look so fearful or sad as she says this, but rather quite serious. Hanako rubs her arms awkwardly, having taken my quietness as a reason to continue. I'm not really sure what I would say, so I end up simply giving her my attention in silence. In middle school, I got bullied a lot. I was called names and got excluded from work groups and sports teams. There were worse things too. That's what made you not like other people? She shakes her head. That was elementary school. I feel bad for bringing this up now. Adults have enough problems dealing with Hanako's scarring. Children would be all the worse. I had assumed that the way she tried to make her presence not felt was just to avoid people staring at her because she was afraid of them. Certainly not because she genuinely didn't want to interact with them in the first place. I noticed the condensation from my neglected smoothie forming a little puddle around the bottom of the cup, so I take the opportunity to finish it off. As I drink, she begins to fiddle with her phone. It looks like she's remembered the people around her again and begins to tense up. It isn't exactly a cheap phone. I had to save up for quite a while to afford one when I got mine. If Lily went to a private school, she probably wouldn't have so much trouble getting one for a present though. Watching her fiddle with it gives me an idea. Hey, I'll be right back. I put my now empty cup down, slip my phone into my pocket, and begin to move off, carefully stepping around the bag I'd placed beside my feet. Thankfully, sitting around while talking to Hanako has helped me feel a lot better than before. Wait, where are you going? I'll be right back. We just know that she was burned on her birthday and her parents be deaded, but we don't know too much about that. As much as I like to have jogged back, I know full well I couldn't. I ended up walking back to the cafe, a little blue bag in my right hand. Is it a little dongle for her phone? Hanako noticed me quickly. Jesus, it's been 3 hours! I deposit the diminutive bag in front of her and sit back down. Is this? It's for you. You can open it. But, go on. She looks very unsure about it, but eventually gives in, slowly opening the bag and picks its contents out. It's a soot ball. It's a soot ball from Miyazaki films. I don't know, something about this soot ball reminds me of you. A silver chain phone strap. Oh, hey, look, phone strap. Dangles from her fingers, ending in a delicate flower. It isn't exactly a masterwork of jewelry, but it's about as much as I could afford. Hanako's eyes light up as she looks into it, is a kind of reaction I was hoping for. The summer's sunlight glints off the silver as it twists to and fro a little. It's not too ostentatious, but still looks a little charming. I think it suits her well. Hanako lowers the phone strap to the table and looks at it once more. It's not Christmas or my birthday. It's fine, don't worry about it. I just thought it might be nice to have something to decorate your phone with. I don't have anything to give you. I told you it's fine. Your presence is the only present I need, Hanako. Friends can give each other things like that sometimes, right? Maybe more than friends. Friends. Hanako lowers her face so much I can't see her expression. She eventually nods before taking her phone and fiddling with the strap to attach it properly. She looks at me and smiles as she holds up her phone, now adorned with a little flower. Thank you, Hisao. How did you do that? That's not how phone straps work. How did you do that? You can't just... Come on, phone strap properly. This game sucks. 2 out of 10. Her smile proves infectious. Out of the corner of my eye, I notice a couple getting up and leaving. That reminds me that the bus back to town below Yamaku will be coming soon. I guess I better get going if I want to catch the next bus back to town. Coming as well? No, I mean, like... But you'd have to, like, loop it among itself. Like you can't open that up and put it in. You have to, like, loop it through here, and then loop it around here, and then cinch it tight. I better get going if I want to catch the next bus back to town. You coming as well? Ah, yes. She hastily nods before carefully putting her phone back into her pocket and getting out of her chair. I do the same and picked up the bag I left beside me on the way out. I don't know, it doesn't look like it. I don't think that opens. Well, oh well. We walk side by side as we make our way to the bus station, exchanging no words between us. Hanako's gaze is firmly locked ahead of her, though she looks very happy with herself. I'm not sure what I should say to her, but I'm also not sure that I need to say anything. The fact that Hanako is happy, and happy because of me, is enough to make the load of my arm feel light as a feather. Finally reaching the classroom after the usual walk from the dormitories, I step inside. My eyes immediately turn to the third seat from the left in the back row, Hanako's seat. It's empty, and after glancing around the classroom, it looks like she isn't here yet. 2 girls from newspaper club are here in the 2 seats to the left of Hanako's, as are Shize and Misha, but that's about it. We exchange morning greetings before I take my seat. I have to admit that this is a bit of relief. It gives me a few moments to think. Not that haven't been doing so previously. Ever since our trip to town, Hanako's been on my mind. I still don't know what to make of my relationship with Hanako. I like her. I can admit that much to myself. I want to protect and shield her from the pain she feels. I really don't think my feelings are just those of friendship anymore. But that said, I feel like I don't even know her. If I made a move on her, how would she take it? If she's in an emotional state that allows her to have a reasonable... Is she in an emotional state that allows her to have a reasonable decision about a relationship? How would she cope with anything that might happen afterwards? There's also the possibility I'm just completely misinterpreting Hanako. I'm not a difficult thing to do with someone whose social skills seem to be so underdeveloped. The sound of footsteps comes up to the door, making me perk up. Ah, Miki. Miki plays such a large part in this in this route. She barely acknowledges my existence when I accidentally make eye contact with her. I'm about to look away, but another person comes in not long after she takes her seat. It's the waifu. I feel myself freeze as I see Hanako enter. This isn't a rational reaction, but I have no idea how I should react. For a moment, our eyes meet. Then, just as quickly, she looks away and moves to her seat without saying a single word. As is now usual for the period following classes, my face is buried deep in a book that I find thoroughly uninteresting. Studying is not something that comes naturally to me. I didn't study a lot before coming to Yamaku, and now I've largely managed to coast through on talent alone. It's frustrating that I can't do that anymore. Judging by the faces of the other students in the library, I don't think I'm alone in my distaste for this. Misery loves company, I suppose. I decide to spend lunchtime with Hanako, since we haven't had lunch together in a while now. I may as well spend the time studying, though. Aside from pathetically small snippets of small talk, there's barely a word said between us. Why did she keep doing this to me? I just want to protect her, to be there for her, but every time I feel like we're coming closer, we end up further away. It seems like a very common thread for us. Are you busy? Hanako? My head whips around in surprise. Now watch me whip! That was bad timing. If I hadn't been thinking about her at the very moment, I probably wouldn't have been so startled. Sorry, you just startled me. I find myself staring at her longer than I should, so I go back to the text laying in front table in front of me. I feel like I'm just staring at the words rather than actually reading. I get the feeling that Hanako can notice this as well, so I sigh and close the book. What up? I was just wondering what you were reading. She looks a little downcast after my reaction to her. Giving up on the prospect of getting any more work done, I give up and return to the book to its place on a nearby shelf. Just an English textbook. Has it helped? It helped me realize I don't like English. English. Hanako gives a small giggle. I may muse on the strange state of our friendship, but I do know that such little gestures are things I wouldn't see were I not at least some distance closer to her than when we first met. I look at her for a moment, think about what to do, and don't know about her. It's a slightly depressing topic. Is something wrong? If I want to know more about her, maybe I should stop being so evasive about it. Is it options time? Talking with Lily as an equal rather than being constantly in fear of causing her to become upset worked fine, so I should just try a straightforward approach. Hey Hanako, can I ask you a question? I don't mind. I want to know what your life was like before coming to Yamaku. She hesitates. I briefly consider backing up, but she seems to be taking the question quite seriously. I sit and watch her, silently letting her take her time. She's not making eye contact with me and looks almost as if she's arguing with herself until letting herself open up to me more. Let's prepare myself mentally for this. Her answer finally comes in a stiff, almost reluctant nod. She looks far more tense than she did before I asked. In return, you have to tell me about your life as well. I nod and follow her as she begins to walk out of the library so we can talk. By now, most of the students have already left the main building, so apart from a few people hovering around the club rooms, the hallways are largely empty. We'll start with coming to Yamaku. Let's see, I was in a hospital when my parents first told me about Yamaku Academy. The doctors told me I shouldn't go to my old school anymore. My parents agreed and persuaded me to apply for Yamaku, even though it'd mean living away from them for the first time. Must have been hard for you. I have to admit that it was. Having parents and all that, it's pretty difficult. My parents both worked long hours full time, so having to live reasonably independent wasn't anything new to me. It was the fact that I was going to school for disabled students, for, freaks. And you? A small group of chatting girls passes us as we near the stairs, with Hanako pressing herself tightly to my side until we reach the ground floor. She usually doesn't come this close while just walking into school, so I'm left a little put off. Why would you be put off when a lovely girl is hanging on to you? The staff at the orphanage offered me some options on what I could do. Middle school hadn't been good, so I thought that Yamaku might be better. It was isolated, and I thought it might be easier to get by there with most of the people being disabled. It's pretty ironic that the reasons Hanako looked forward to Yamaku are the exact reasons I hated the idea. To me, it felt like I was being shunted somewhere away from society and everyone I knew. To Hanako, that was probably an inviting prospect. What's life like at the orphanage? It was okay. The staff there was nice and they took care of us. The children didn't talk to me much, but I didn't really want to talk with them either, so I didn't mind. The orphanage had a little library, so I started to read to pass the time. The staff didn't mind it because it made me easier to handle than many of the other children. You didn't make many friends there? No, I think my life was on hold during that time. I knew that, but I didn't mind. To think her life was on hold for all that time, though, depending on when the fire happened, that was a huge chunk of her life. No parents, no friends, no relatives. We walked through the door into the courtyard. I expected to need to avert my eyes from the sun, but now it's well into sunset. Hanako's eyes keep flicking to me, so I look away from her for a bit. What was it like in hospital? I quickly clear my thoughts and try to refocus them. I hesitate for a bit, but I know I have to tell her. We're close enough for her to feel comfortable telling me this, so it's only fair I reciprocate. It was okay at times, but at others it was pretty bad. At the beginning, everyone sent their sympathies and came to visit often. It was just like breaking an arm or something. Meeting all my friends was one of the good times. Iwanako came in often as well, more often than anyone else. There are bad times too. When my friends slowly stopped visiting, I began to realize how grave my situation was. It reminded me that this wasn't just a broken limb, but that I was now a different person than before. Even the times Iwanako would spend with me became torturous. By the end, we were reduced to silence, whereas before she would be talking constantly. That's how Iwanako always was. She may have been a fragile person, but she would talk constantly to try and hide that fact. Not about anything in particular, just talk. I think the three lowest points were when my parents told me I wouldn't be going to my old school anymore, my birthday passing while in the hospital, and when Iwanako left for the last time. We leave the school buildings behind us as we begin to follow the main path through the gardens. There may have been the odd bystander in the school buildings, but aside from that, we're practically alone. What was middle school like? I liked it. I grew up in a really metropolitan area, and the middle school was nearby, so it was pretty crowded. I didn't mind it, probably because I used to being in crowds and around lots of other people. I got good grades, I played soccer with my friends, I spent a fair bit of time hanging out with them after school. I did get teased a bit about my hair, though. Your hair? I grimaced as I placed my hand over my hair to cover it. I used to wear it in a mohawk. I'd keep getting little tufts of strands that refused to flatten or stay. He had a hoagie. He had Danganronpa hoagie, so that way he had a little hair erection. Still does, a little. I was worried I'd get that reply. Sorry. Yeah, you did. I give a mild laugh and wave it off. It's fine, I still know it does. It feels strange that someone acts so interested in my past. If it were anyone else, I'd think they were acting polite, but that's something I really don't think Hanako would do. Or if she did it so badly it would be obvious. There are a number of girls in the common room on the ground floor, and Hanako presses herself to my side once more as we pass them. I expected her to break off, but instead she continues to cling onto me as we walk towards the stairway. Something about the way she's holding onto me feels different from usual. I'm left deep in thought as we walk up the stairs and down the hallway. It's only when we stop that I look up and realize I've been following her without question. Why did we come to your dormitory room? She looks straight at the door without so much as a glance in my direction. Hanako? She moves to answer but stops herself. Instead, she walks silently from my side, opens the door, and steps inside. I'm ready to swap the screens. I look up and down the hallway, a bit lost as to exactly what I should do. Shrugging, I decide to follow her since I don't have any reason to do otherwise. Hanako stands in the middle of her room and looks straight at me. It's unnerving when she does this. as it's such an unusual action for her. I open my mouth to speak, but she preempts me. Could you close and lock the door? Hanako's hand reaches for her chest, grabbing her blouse at her heart. I turn and lock the door shut, then freeze. The atmosphere is beginning to feel quite strange. This feeling is only made more profound when I hear the curtains being pulled behind me. It's going to be night soon. We're a guy and a girl in a bedroom. She's closing the curtains, now I'm shutting and locking the door. She can't really have that in mind, can't she? I'm assuming she's going to show the scars. I gulp and turn around very, very slowly. Hanako's in the center of the room, but hasn't turned back to face me. You told me about your past, so I have to tell you mine. She takes a deep breath, pauses for a number of seconds. Her hands move to her ribbon and begin to tug, all but confirming my thoughts. Hanako, please don't say anything. I obediently stay hush as she slips off her ribbon and continues to unbutton her blouse before working the clip on her bra. The process is slow. Perhaps it just feels slow because of what she's doing. I'm not sure. Frozen to the spot, all I can do is watch Hanako, hands trembling, unclip her skirt and let it drop to the ground. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's perfect. Finally, she takes her blouse in her hands and draws it off, her bra falling from her shoulders. And so, Hanako stands in the middle of the room, all but bared save for her stockings and underwear. This is me. All of me. My eyes are immediately drawn to the scarring on her back. The skin in her right side of it is a similar texture to that of her face, but it's also stretched taut and covering a much larger area. The scarring is by far the worst on her shoulder, buttocks, and thigh. Just as my heart attack redefined my life, this is the event that redefined Hanako's. If I'd seen this when I first met her, I'd have been shocked, not only at the sight, but also at the idea that something like this is survivable. But after having had time to get used to the idea, and after seeing the scars on her face, hands, and collar, my reaction is more measured. My reaction right now is not due to her scarring, but to her body. The fire happened when I was 8 years old. It was night, and we were sleeping when it started. Hanako's voice trembles, the shaking of her blouse giving away the fact that her hands are doing the same. I curled up into a ball when the fire swept over me. My mother tried to shield me. That's the only reason I lived. Hanako's eyes begin to moisten, her voice crackling under the combined pressure of exposing herself to me and reliving those painful memories from long ago. I want to say something, anything to make her feel better. I can't though. I feel completely useless when faced with a situation like this. She's forcing herself to come so close, yet it's at times like this I feel most distant to her. I'm sorry for making you see this. There's no point in denying the obvious. I think I should say it now, and what Hanako wants me to say now is the truth. What I genuinely, honestly believe. Doesn't matter. You're a wonderful person, Hanako. Your body doesn't change that. She looks at me for a long time, her breathing uneven as she tries to remain steady. Amidst the emotions we're both feeling, it feels less like she's looking at me than she's looking through to me. I slowly walk towards her and gently place my hand on her shoulders as she lets go of her blouse. She gasps a little, not in fright, but in simple startle. Being so close to her causes my mind to becoming a jumble of feelings. The scarring on her shoulder, the plain to see and leather-like to the touch, conflicts strangely with her soft skin and silky hair. Hanako is a girl with all that entails. She's taller than usual for a woman, but still has curves in all the right places. You perv. The nape of her neck, just visible thanks to her hair slung over her shoulder, is alluring. I know I'm not pretty like Lily, I just wanted you to see me. The real me. I've already seen the real you, though. You don't need to take off your clothes for that. Whoops. Hold on. I've got a plan for this time. Her lips are open just a little. She lets out a sharp breath as, without thinking, I breathlessly lean forward and press my lip to hers. The kiss only lasts for a fleeting moment. Before our faces part, our breathing quick and nervous, the feeling of Hanako's mouth lingers and her eyes belong to mine. Oh, we're still good! Trembling a little myself, I remove my tie and begin undoing the buttons of my shirt. Hanako remains standing there. She is, looking at the ground in front of her rather than watching me undress. On the one hand, I'm thankful for that. I've always been somewhat self-conscious of my body, but my scarring has made that quite a lot worse. On the other hand, though, this atmosphere feels very strange. It feels like we're gonna smush. My shirt falls to the floor in a heap, as untidy and crumpled as Hanako's blouse and shirt and skirt. Hanako's entire body visibly flinches at the sound of the zipper of my trousers. My trousers join my shirt on Hanako's floor next to the bed, as well as my socks in short measure. I hesitate before taking off my boxers and end up leaving them on. Damn. They represent one last hurdle I don't think I can overcome quite yet. Sheer embarrassment stops me from, along with not wanting Hanako, getting even more worked up. My unease about the situation also left me needing my own stimulation. We're not rock hard yet. Hanako. She gives a nod without so much as glancing at me and makes her way to the bed as I do. She walks as if her legs were wooden sticks. I find it amusing if I weren't doing exactly the same thing. I take the initiative, turning around and sitting on the side of the bed. I look to her face to invite her to take a seat on my face. Next to me or in front of me, but end up awkwardly looking down to stop myself from staring at her body. That means we, High five, everybody, we banged. At least we didn't get the bad ending, I guess. After a couple seconds, it ends. Oh, Hisao. Oh, man, you can only last a few seconds? I mean... dude, like... Oh, man, that's awkward. The sound of Hanako's breathing on my own rings in my ears, almost painfully loudly. Hanako holds an arm over her face, her mouth open and gulping in air. As I hold myself over her, suddenly my arms almost give way and my vision distorts, as if someone grabbed it and pulled sideways. I let myself fall sideways onto the bed, beside the panting Hanako, for fear of falling onto her instead. We both lie beside each other, naked and pressed against one another, in order to fit in a bed made for a single person. My eyes try to focus on the ceiling, to not much success. Pulling a blanket over us to stave off the cold is all I can do. The only sound in the room is that of our breathing. The sweat that has accumulated on my body feels uncomfortable. We're both physically and emotionally exhausted and a complete mess all over. Are we gonna fucking die? My vision slowly begins to return to normal as I continue to stare at the ceiling, but my limbs feel like jelly. I try to concentrate on my chest and find its beat irregular and mildly painful. Oh, we're gonna die. This is a dangerous time. I have to think this through and not panic, lest I make my situation any worse. With a huge effort, I take control of my erratic breathing, forcing myself to make long, deep breaths. I count half a dozen before I start to feel physically calm again, and press my hand to my chest to assure myself. My heart beats back to normal. I'm okay. Okay. It's okay, we're nice and sweet again. I turn my face towards Hanako, who's already looking at me. Her expression looks pretty dazed, but underneath that, there's definitely a look of concern. She's realized what happened. I'm okay. Everything's back to normal. No, everything's not back to normal. It's better than normal. 'Cause you're here, Hanako. I find myself barely able to get the words out between breaths. I don't think sex would tire me out. I don't think sex would tire a normal body out this much, but I have no doubt my condition's at least partially at fault. Why did my body have to do this right now? All thoughts of my heart, though, are pushed aside as I see the wide smile forming on Hanako's face. As always, I smile back without another thought. Hanako's smile has always been infectious in its almost childlike sweetness and earnesty, something that sets her apart from anyone else I know. Just saying, we skipped the kissing part and went straight to the, you player. Right now, we don't need words. Everything we want to communicate to each other we can share just fine without them. And we die. We did it! We banged! Woo! I'm so proud of me. Ugh. My eyes feel heavy as they slowly open. The light from outside make me blink a bit to let them get adjusted. My body feels like lead, and my head feels just as heavy. Waking up to an unfamiliar ceiling is an uncomfortable feeling. It reminds me of the first time I awoke to the dimpled white tile cut ceiling of the hospital. It's only after spending a few seconds staring up at what I realize where I am. This is Hanako's dormitory room. I feel as though my heart stopped again as the events of last night rushed through my head. Blood rushes to my cheeks, and they rush to my nether regions. There's very little point to getting myself worked up this early though, so I try to push such things out of my mind for now. I roll my head to the side to see if Hanako's where she has been when I drifted off to sleep. All that's there now is an empty space on the bed and the room beyond. I sluggishly rub my eyes before pinching the bridge of my nose and looking around the room. The only person here is me. I'm still bereft of my clothes, and after a quick scan of the floor of them, I notice they're neatly folded in a corner of the room. Try as I might, I can't see Hanako anywhere. The foil packet of the condom's been removed too. With a great yawn, I get myself out of bed and quickly look for some underwear. I grimace a little at the prospect of putting my boxes back on after yesterday's efforts did a job on them. Dude, just go commando. Come on, dude. Taking advantage of the fact that I still have some time without anyone around, I get myself dressed for the coming school day in short order. Then I'm alone. Without anything more to busy myself with, my mind becomes forced on the fact that I'm staying in another person's bedroom after we spent the night together, but there's not a single sign of her around. My gut proves me more helpful than my brain at working out this riddle. With a loud growl, it reminds me that she may just be getting breakfast. I would like to wake up next to her, but maybe it's a good thing I have a few moments alone. Hanako's room, as always, is quite bleak in appearance. There are few precious decorations and practically no personal artifacts that aren't hidden away in cupboards and drawers. She's lived here for 3 years, but the room still looks as if it's barely been occupied for a single day. I shouldn't overthink this. She might just like living this way, as some do. Having the ability to put such low stock in physical possessions does have its advantages, but even so, it feels a little discouraging given her past. She said she viewed herself as having her life on hold while at the orphanage. She certainly lives as if she does, but after what happened last night, it's pretty hard to imagine that she still thinks that way. The sound of the door handle creaks through my thoughts, and I return to face it. Sure enough, Hanako comes through and shuts the door behind her. She has what seems to be 2 microwaved instant meals in her hands, so this is a little difficult. Morning, Hanako. Morning. She gives a little bow before making her way to her desk, setting down both plates. I can now see them to be small satay dishes, their contents steaming with a fork stuck inside the rice of each. I give thanks to her for bringing them in, and she says, "Whoa, whoa! They're both for me. Get your own damn breakfast." She sits on her desk chair while I sit on the side of the bed. I don't like talking while eating, so the silence between us isn't annoying, and in fact, it's the fact that it only exists because we don't know quite what to say to each other that's off-putting. Hanako glances towards me every so often as she eats. I only notice her doing so because I'm doing the same. We're eating together as if we're a couple. We even had sex last night, a first for the both of us. Something feels wrong though. Maybe that's why we can't even say a word to each other as we finish our plates and leave them in the sink. Maybe that's why we leave Hanako's room without holding hands or making small talk. Maybe that's why it feels as if we're further apart than we've ever been before. We enter the classroom together, neither of us much as glancing at each other. Just after we do so, I realize this may have been a mistake. She's may lift her eyebrow at the sight, her suspicions raised. We reach the center aisle between the classroom desks and look at each other. I'm not quite sure what I should say. Does she want me to address her as a girlfriend? I didn't think our relationship was. Oh, that's why this feels so strange. See you. Okay. What? I'm glad she liked the voice, Chaos King. I awkwardly hold up a hand as we part and take our seats at our respective desks. I can't even look back on her out of embarrassment. I feel like the gulf between Hanako and me is because of me. Shizune begins to make her way towards us, but Muto enters the room. I'm thankful for his arrival being so well timed, drawing Shizune and her questioning away to wait for another time. I wouldn't have been able to answer her anyways. I like Hanako, but I've never told her my feelings are. Hanako never said she saw me as anything beyond a friend either. But we banged! The bell to signal the beginning of lunch rings out. Mutuo is taken a little off guard, his chemistry lecture being cut off mid-sentence, much to his chagrin. For the entirety of the class, his rambling passed through one ear and out the other. My mind mulls over a question of Hanako. I can't get her out of my mind, and by now I've managed to wind myself up about it. I realize she's never said yes to what we did. She didn't say no either, but would she have been able to? She's extremely submissive at the best of times, and no doubt it took her a gargantuan effort to show me her scarring. I decided to try and at least make conversation with her. That would be better than the single syllable communication that's been the most we've managed between each other today. I don't know why I can't say that word. I walk to her desk intending to chat, but she awkwardly blushes and looks down even before I come to her. I take a breath to speak, but find myself lost for words. What in the world should I say to her? Hearing footsteps approach, I turn to see Shizune and Misha already making their way towards us, no doubt with the intent of starting troublesome things. A couple other classmates are looking at us and gossiping between themselves as they throw sidelong glances. Must also have noticed Hanako and me coming in together. I open my mouth to reassure Hanako, but she preempts me. I've got to go do something. Oh no! She gets out of her chair and dashes for the door, a couple of the books and pens that were on her desk sent falling to the floor in her rush. Not many people seem to care about this event. A few look around to see all the fuss is about and go back the way they were previously doing afterwards. I'm left desperately looking at the door that Hanako disappeared out of. The idea of running after her presses through my mind, but I'm fairly certain that Hanako can run faster than I can. Besides, what I say once I caught up anyways. Eventually, I simply crouch down and begin picking up the items that had fallen into the ground on her desk. I feel low in every way reduced to this as students pass by me on their way out of the room. I feel a tap on my shoulder. I look up to see Shizune and Misha looking at me. Curiosity about the situation written on their faces, mixed with a slightly apologetic look at the idea they were partially responsible for what just happened. If we can help at all. I just shake my head. This isn't a matter for them, and from Shizune's expression and a tone of Misha's voice, I think they know the same thing. Shizune acknowledges my response and gives a solemn bow before making her way out of the room. Misha soon follows her, obediently following her row as Shizune's shadow. I pick myself up, books and pens in hand, and place them inside Hanako's desk. With the classroom now empty, I end up just leaving her leaning against her desk and thinking to myself in silence. I feel like there's a complete emotional disconnect between Hanako and me. We haven't known each other for all that long, and despite wanting to start growing out with her, I don't really know that much about how Hanako views things. I've been studying as hard as I can for exams, but I don't feel like I have any real sense of direction behind it. I started to be a friend to Hanako, even if I couldn't tell her my feelings, and all we've done is drive each other apart. I couldn't even write a letter to the one girl who ever loved me, Iwanako. What should I do? What can I do? I simply don't know the answer to either of those questions. I do know that no one else can help me with them. Just going back to the way things would be enough to make me happy. But I know it can never happen. Something changed between us last night. Maybe it changed beforehand, but it just came to a head then. Head. I know there's a wall that Hanako has between me and her. I've been hitting that wall every time I've tried to interact with her on any level. I really feel like this is all in our head. I feel like we're making such a big deal out of this after Hanako put herself out there. I'm beginning to think that I have my own wall between us just as much as she does. She had to practically drag my past out of me, and mine is much less traumatic than hers. I agree. It seems to be mostly on us. I want to say it's because I haven't had long to adjust since my heart attack, but I know full well it would just be an excuse. The one time I can recall when it really felt like she was opening up to me on her own accord, when we were playing billiards in the city. I was the one who stopped her from going further. I want to know Hanako better. I want to save our friendship, but if not begin a real relationship with her. My mind begins to tick as I sit against her desk, thinking to myself in an empty classroom we spent so much time in together. I have to talk to Hanako. I pace around the park, feeling of anxiety rolling over me. Every so often I reach into my pocket and take out my phone, but each and every time I hesitate and end up slipping it back in. If this were any normal situation, I wouldn't be cutting classes. Unfortunately, it isn't that, and I find myself in a town below the school at 2 in the afternoon. Ever since I met Hanako, I've been the one to initiate everything between us. The one who started conversations, went to her whenever she was, and suggested what we do today. Today, this once, I don't want to be the only one doing that. No! There are plenty of times when Hanako is the one who initiates stuff. We're in this city. Hanako calls us and asks us over. Hanako brings us to her fucking room. My hand dives into my pocket once more. This time, I quickly navigate to the texting menu before I have a chance to change my mind. Hanako, if you want to talk, I'll be at the park in town for a while. Fighting a last measure of doubt, I thumb in my message to Hanako and press the button to send it. And now I wait. My part in this has been fulfilled. What needs to happen now is for Hanako to make the decision. It'll be meaningless for me to drag her here. She needs to decide for herself whether she wants to meet me. The apple juice from the vending machine tastes awfully bitter as I swirl it down. My grip on the can has caused it to dent slightly in the middle. I shouldn't be this tense, but it's probably inevitable. Hanako is dear to me. What happened in the last couple of days has put a lot of pressure on the both of us. The idea of losing all the progress we've made and coming closer to one another and losing our friendship as a whole is deeply unsettling. But even then, I still don't know how close we are. We may have had sex, but before that, all I knew us to be were friends. Maybe we were more than that, but if so, I never realized it. Maybe that's why I feel so uneasy right now. I don't understand Hanako, despite all the time we spent together. The minutes were ticking by and I still have no idea whether she'll show up. Hisao? I pause for a moment, almost not believing I'm hearing the voice I'm hearing. I drop the can and stand up with a start. Hanako. We look at each other for a few seconds before Hanako becomes too embarrassed to maintain eye contact and begins to nervously fiddle with a roughly cut lock of hair covering the side of her face. When I went to see Hanako in her room by myself after her breakdown, I had no idea what to say. That was fine then. All either of us wanted with each other's presence. Not now, though. I feel like I need to talk to her directly. I want to break down this wall between us before it forces us apart for good. Hanako. What we did last night, how should I interpret that? Hanako stops playing with her hair and looks to me. Her head cast slightly downwards. She feels ashamed, which is probably a good mirror of how I would look now if I weren't so concerned. I thought you might eventually go away if I was only someone you needed to protect. I thought if I let you do that, you might see me as someone more than that. My first reaction was disbelief. I did do it with her after all. I had plenty of opportunities where I could have stopped things, stepped back, and questioned what we were doing. In the end, though, I didn't. A horrible feeling rises in the pit of my stomach. She offered herself to me because of what she thought I wanted, and now it feels like I took advantage of her. She may have been willing, but only under false premises. I've never been good at hiding my emotions from physically showing, and now it's no different. Hanako looks down once more, a strange mixture of depression, regret, and sickness written on her face. Thick silence hangs in the air, save for the breeze blowing through the trees around us. I knew you couldn't look at me that way. Hanako's words were said in little more than a whisper, seemingly directed at just as much to herself as me. In what way? What do you mean? All I ever was to you was a useless person. Just someone to protect. Someone like a child. I wanted to be more to you than that, but after so long, I got used to it. The tone of her voice is unlike any I've heard her use before. She sounds disgusted, not at me, but at herself. After I came out of my room, I saw you had started drifting away. I felt like I was going to lose you because you wanted someone you could have that kind of relationship with. You were more quiet in school than before, and you were getting on so well with Yuko, I thought I might lose you. She thought I was bored of her because I wanted a romantic relationship. But we're friends, right? I wouldn't just abandon you like that, even if what you're saying was true. Friendship was something I thought I'd given up on. I stopped believing in others after what happened after the accident. Before the accident happened, I got on well with people and other children. I didn't have many friends, but I didn't mind because I treasured the ones I had. Afterwards, though, I was called names by the others and teased a lot. It hurt deeply. The teachers tried to help, but they couldn't do much. Even many of them recoiled just at the sight of me. Among those calling me names and teasing me were the ones I thought were my closest friends. From then on, I believed that it didn't matter if nobody else acknowledged me. All my existence ever did was make people troubled, after all. It was easier if I just didn't exist. After meeting Lily, and then you, I tried, but I couldn't make myself think it that way again. All that time, she didn't trust me. She thought that, just like everyone else in her life, that she was worthless. Someone to throw away once I got bored of being with her. That hurts. That's the one kind of person I never ever wanted to be seen as, because I know better than most just how horrible it feels to be thrown away by those who I thought I liked, or thought liked me. She's cracking from the memories she's bringing up. I feel useless, completely unable to console her. In a strange way, though, I'm almost thankful that she's allowing me to know this. The wall between us is going away, even if it hurts so badly to bring it down. Hanako, have you just told me? Was I wrong? Of course. She wasn't. Hanako wasn't wrong. It's difficult to force myself to admit this, but I know trying to deny it is pointless. To me and to Lily, she was someone we tried to protect. She had become to me what I had become to my friends after my heart attack, a broken person. I liked her, possibly even loved her, but I never acted on that precisely because I thought she was so fragile. I mean, I don't look at you that way now. I got worried about you after what happened to you in class, and I thought I should try and protect you. When you locked yourself in your room, though, I got afraid. I thought you were rejecting me, and it forced me to think about a lot of things. A lot of different things. I wasn't rejecting you. She blurts it out with an almost scared tone of her voice, taking me off guard. She quickly becomes embarrassed by her outbursts, before clenching her fists and working through what she wants to say in her mind. I wouldn't ever do that. Not to you. Even though I was scared, even though I tried to push you away, you still tried to get closer to me. I locked myself away because I was just a burden to you, to Lily, to everyone. Every birthday was the same. Everyone doing their best to pretend that I mattered. Everyone pretending everything was alright for that one day of the year. I didn't want to exist, but they wouldn't let me. Even after meeting Lily, everything was the same. I was as useless as I'd always been, unable to do anything for her or for myself. I didn't want to be that same way to you. Lily and I were completely wrong. From what she said, everything we did for her, it would have only made her feel worse. Even what little I thought I had right about her was a complete misjudgment. After you locked yourself in your room, I decided to try to work out my past as well, and sort out my future. I didn't know how to deal with things I'd lost by coming to Yamaku, so I was trying to sort them out myself. I thought it would help us become better friends if I did that. Silence hangs in the air. I try to keep looking at her, but I can't. I feel really low, and though I want to apologize, I don't know how I possibly could. I hear her take a deep breath and only look back to her after hearing her drop to the ground. The sound of her crying breaks my heart. I know I'm responsible for this, and I know I can't do anything to help her. If Hanako feels ashamed, then I feel all the more so. I rush to her, and as tears begin to roll down her cheeks, unabated. Wrapping my arms around her, I don't care how I must look anymore. I just want to be as close to her as I can right now. Sorry, Hisao, I've messed everything up. It's fine, everything's fine. I'm the one who should be sorry. I was meddling around behind your back, and I never told you anything. I can feel my grip tightening on Hanako as my vision blurs. I can't be bothered trying to hold back now. I have to force my words out as a lump begins to stick in my throat. tell you the truth, Hanako, I was scared. For the first time since my heart attack, I was really scared. Hisao? I lost so much when I came to Yamaku. I was depending on you more than I ever thought I did. Even now, I still have that hole inside me. After losing my entire life and everyone I'd known, the thought of losing you as well. I'm just useless. You're my friend, Hanako. You're more than that. I love you, Hanako. I love you so much that the thought of losing you frightened me so much. I'm really letting it all out. I can't bring myself to look at her face right now. I'm sorry, Hisao. I can't help but feeling a bit happy. For so long, that's what I've wanted to hear. The last of the floodgates break. The sound of her crying permeating the air as her body jerks against mine. We hold each other tightly, connecting more closely than ever in our shared grief and our shared happiness. I don't know how things got to be like this are going to be like after this. Right now, though, I don't care. There's no other person in the world that either of us could possibly share these memories and emotions with. Nobody. After dropping the dirty can into the bin next to the bench, I take a seat beside Hanako. She puts away the handkerchief I gave her to clean herself up, which hasn't helped much. A handkerchief? We're a true gentleman. Milady. Then again, I doubt I look much more presentable. Even now, I feel emptied and a bit embarrassed after letting my emotions out in public like that. It's not a bad sensation, though. I think Hanako feels the same way. Have you calmed down a bit? Yes, thank you. For a while, we both sit and take our time before talking again to one another. We both need a little time to collect ourselves. The weather is nice this time of year. It is. I close my eyes for a moment, relishing the feeling of the sun's heat and the cool breeze against my face. The weather really is nice today. Really, really nice. You know, I don't want to go back to classes right now, do you? She shakes her head as she finishes wiping her eyes from under cuffs. The small smile she gives is nice, and it's a reminder of how earnest it can be. Smiling for other people might be a completely normal everyday thing. For Hanako, though, she smiles so rarely and so sincerely that each and every time she does it, I feel a sense of relief and happiness. I'm sorry for everything. It's okay, I think we both have a bit to be sorry for. I know that, but I'm too shy. I know you don't want me to be. I don't think I can. You can change, Hanako. I know that because even in the time I've known you, you've already changed. To be honest, just being able to sit here and talk to you like this means you've changed a lot since we first met. But I can't be like that for anyone else. I don't have any plans for after school ends either. Hanako's confidence begins to slide down again, but I think that now I can finally talk to her as an equal. I can do it because I know that we're just the same in so many ways. Just give yourself time and I know you'll be able to achieve what you want. No, I'm sure you'll be able to do it. I can see you trying and I have faith in you. And you can depend on me if you feel like you need someone to support you, you know. But I can't ask that of you. You can because that's exactly what I'm asking for you. I'm going through the same thing, you know. It's called love. Hanako smiles. Before I get off the bench and dust myself off, she does the same in short measure. You want to grab something to eat? She nods vigorously. The way she's smiling, the way she's acting, even just the general air she gives off, I feel as if this is the first time I've seen her genuinely happy. We both make our way onto the street, walking beside each other. Hisao? Yeah? I think I don't really understand you. I don't think I understand you either, but I believe that's fine. There's not a single hint of despair in our voices. Oh, despair. Oh god, flashbacks. Not understanding each other is only natural. The walls we set up between ourselves couldn't possibly be broken down in a single day. But that's fine. As long as we take it day by day and try to understand one another, I think everything will be okay. As we walk down the street, though, Hanako's eyes flick to my face and back to the street repeatedly. Something on your mind? You look restless. She slows before stopping completely. When I turn to meet her, she takes a long, deep breath, looking at my face intently. This expression, I saw it once before in her face. Just once, when I accidentally surprised her in her room. I think I have something I need to give you. Is it a kiss? Oh, please be a kiss. Ah, it's a kiss! Don't worry, I'll accept it whatever it is. She gives a sweet, bashful smile before taking my shoulder in her hand. Then, please accept my first gift to you, Hisao. Hanako? Wow, what the fuck are these kids looking at? Get a fucking room. Take a picture, it'll last longer. Damn it, sweeter than the sex. That's the end? Whew. Okay. Was that the good ending, or is that the? It has to be the, or is that the neutral ending? This is too bad. This isn't one of those games that lets you make decisions, but you do get to make decisions. You get to make lots of decisions, and sometimes they end in bad things. We didn't get the bad end, I think. That was a good ending. Yeah, we did it. Good ending. Okay. So I'm going to guess that if you go and fuck, Lily doesn't even come back. Lily just fucking abandons us. Oh, we don't even get Lily back. If we do... If you trust your own judgment, you'll get the neutral ending. Okay, let's get the neutral ending. Because you guys said that the neutral ending's pretty good too. So let's get the neutral ending. If you decide not to walk with Hanako when Lily leaves, then trust Lily's words is bad end. Wait, we didn't have an option to walk with Hanako, did we? Oh, do you want to go into this city? So if we call it a day and we had left her alone, and then later on we just trust Lily, then okay. Okay. I agree, Lily. You tried to amend this? Wait, no. I don't want to agree. I trust myself. God damn, Lily, you so smart. Trust my own judgment. No, I don't want to get the neutral ending yet. I want to end it on a good note today. I need to mull that over too. I need to mull my waifus over. I'll be honest. I definitely think I liked Emmy route better. Hanako's great. But I still think I liked Emmy's route better. I feel like the big emotional hits with Emmy hit me more. I don't know what it is, but I definitely think the emotional hits with Emmy route hit me more. But I can relate to the main character being in his head a lot. I do often get into my own head about things. You liked Hanako better? Emmy is the girl with no legs. Hanako's sweet. But I think I like Emmy better. Don't know what to say, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we ended Hanako route. So let's take a break from today. We're going to come back. We're not done with Katawa Shoujo, because we're going to go get the neutral route for Hanako, and then we're going to go do Lily.